All right. Chapter 53, The Jacobins, the clubs or lodges of the French Revolution, founded in 1786. The Bishop of Atune, Talleyrand, Mirabeau, and the Duc d'Orléans, Grand Master of the Grand Orient de France, founded a lodge in Paris in 1786, which was duly illuminated by Bode and Guillaume Baron de Buch. This was the Club Breton, which afterwards became known as the Jacobin Club, a name of Templar origin recalling that Jacques de Molay. Le Forester in Les Illumines de Bavaire et la Frac Macaroni Allemande gives the substance of a book written by Gertner, quoting the latter as to the funds available at that date for revolution. In his Nouvelles Histoires et Considerations Politiques sur la Révolution Française, 1793, the Swiss Gertner, an ex-Freemason who had joined the ranks of the enemies of the sect, states that from 1786 there had existed in Paris a propaganda club whose chiefs were then the Duc de la Rochefort, called Grand Master of the Lodge in the Rue Coheron, Condorcet, and Sais, and that the aim of the organization was to further the triumph of dogmatic atheism and create a great social upheaval. That Rochefoucauld looks like Rockefeller for some reason. I don't know. I'm just thinking. The members charged with spreading the propaganda of the subversive principles of the club numbered 50,000. In 1790, it had 20,000 livers at its disposal. But by the end of 1791, these had increased to 30 millions. The conspiracy formed by Philip of Orleans, Duc de Chartres, Masonic name, Eaglite, to overthrow Louis XVI, was directed by Sillery and Mirabeau, and of the 605 elected members of the Tiers Etat, 477 deputies were Freemasons. Revolutions cost money. Lord de Pitt's gold had to go through some channel that would not compromise the English government, and in dealing with such a delicate matter as the fostering of revolution in a foreign country, it was good policy to organize a similar movement at home, which, however, should remain abortive, being led by Lord Stanhope, Pitt's brother-in-law. In this connection, the history and failure of Wolfe Tone's Bantry Bay expedition is interesting. The history of the terror in the French Revolution of 1793 is the history of lodges such as that of the Philalettes, among whose members the following Jacobin leaders are known to us chiefly for their uncompromising bestiality. Among the members of the Club de la Pomegranate, Condorcet, Duc de la Rochefoucauld, Sais, de Bejarranas, Charles Theodore Lameth. Among the members of the lodge, Les Amis Buenos, Babos, Curti, Marat, Hebert, Dupont. What is this? What am I reading here? What? Okay. Among the members of the Amis des Norris, founded in 1787. Dude, it's a bunch of French dog fuckers. I don't care. According to Barrel, Histoire de Jacobinism, Volume 2, page 446, et sec. The last mentioned lodge of the Amis des Noirs appeared to have been only the cover name behind which operated the Comité Régulier, or Central Committee of the Combined Lodges and Clubs, an international organization with foreign branches in America and Europe. The deliberations of this group of conspirators were sent to the Central Committee of the Grand Orient, from where they were relayed to the provinces, addressed to the various worshipful masters of presidents of the lodges. This group, according to Barrel, was the central guiding committee of the revolution. The club regulator is said to have numbered at least 500,000 brothers. Lafayette, Logue, de la Candeur, when he marched on Versailles at the head of 15,000 National Guardsmen and brought the king back to Paris, was already, presumably, fully informed of Dupont's plan of revolution, which he himself and Mirabeau have approved at the session of the Amos Réunis early in June, while remarking that the vote for the death of the King of France, Louis XVI, was carried by a majority of 1. Pignettel further states that, in consequence of certain irregularities in the balloting, some 5 votes for death were cast by unqualified persons, while 4 other voted twice. After the storm of revolution have subsided, the power in France seems to have been vested in the Comité de Salut Public, but the 300 who controlled France and of whose power we read in Memoirs of Time were the 300 Masonic leaders. That they in turn were controlled by a small clique is obvious. Even the 300 Masonic leaders of the French Revolution in 1793 seem to have had their successors in modern history. Rathenau mentioned them in his works. One of the most interesting episodes of the French Revolution was that known as the Conspiracy of Babeuf. Babeuf formed the Society of the Pantheon, which, according to Professor Lasky, was operated by a secret committee of direction. Among them were some extraordinary men: Darth, Sylvain Marcal, Germain, and Buonarroti, who was to survive them all and be their historian. The particular brand of communism favored by the conspirators was based on the theory that the poor could not help themselves or improve their position, that the rich must be suppressed, and that the ideal state could only be reached by class war and a dictatorship of the proletariat led by the Bavarists. Professor Lasky remarks that anyone who reads the voluminous literature of this period with attention and compares the habits it postulates with the operation of Bolshevism cannot help being impressed by the resemblance. The Babovist movement, though suppressed by the Directory in 1796, survives today, having successfully penetrated an English literary society called the Fabians, where its predatory principles pass for socialism.